Hey everyone, I'm Carrie Pena. Thank you so much for listening on iTunes and Stitcher, and thank you for watching. You can always see our shows on Facebook at Carrie Pena and also at inspiredmedia360.com. Today we have two of the finalists competing for $100,000. This is part of the Rise of the Rest competition. I'm completely in love with this entire movement. And so I wanted to invite Tim Holliday, the CEO and co-founder of Crowd Mics, one of the finalists, and also Jamar Johnson, who is the CEO and founder of the CBL Exposure League, to join us. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's awesome.
And I want to say that thank you for coming down here, because you guys have a busy day, and in about a half an hour you have to be at a rehearsal for this competition. So I appreciate it. Tim, I want to start with you. Tell me about Crowd Mics.
Crowd Mics powers audience interaction. We turn phones into microphones. It turns out, even 2.5 years after founding, it's the first and only of its kind. So we're letting the audience have a voice.
And Jamar, tell me about CBL Exposure League.
The CBL Exposure League is an amateur-based basketball league, and we have a built-in SaaS platform. And we are also the only basketball league, recreational basketball league in the world with a SaaS platform and cash prize format.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about what you guys are doing and how it feels to be here today, because a startup is no easy task. You have to overcome a lot of obstacles and fear and push through all of that. And now you guys are in this exciting moment along with 6 other finalists, right? Competing for $100,000. But just to our viewers and our listeners, in case you haven't heard about Rise of the Rest, it is super cool. It's a bus tour through Nebraska, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and the final stop here in Phoenix, Arizona. The co-founder of AOL, Steve Case, such a cool guy for doing this. He's leading this delegation with his investment firm, Revolution. The mission, he says, is to shine a spotlight on the vibrant ecosystems emerging in cities outside of Silicon Valley and all the startups that deserve to be recognized, like you guys. So Jamar, before we started, you were talking about how just your love of basketball. I asked you, well, how'd you come up with this and why? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, I'm born and raised in Indiana, in Elkhart, Indiana, and Indiana was a basketball. Growing up as a basketball state, very much like Texas is football. Well, we were basketball, and so I've always been around basketball my whole life, and played college, high school, college, and professional. After I was done, I found myself playing in recreational leagues and at the gym, just like everybody else. But I was different from those guys. I had the experience before. I knew what it was like, and they hadn't. And that was the main reason why these guys play recreational basketball. There's a passion and love for the game, but then there's also that wanting to have more and for it to be more than just a recreational basketball league. So that's what I sought out to do, and just give them something more.
Well, and you were talking about how emotional it can be for a lot of guys who, growing up, that was their dream to play.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden, somewhere along the way, a coach or someone tells you, or a recruiter, hey, you're not good enough, you're not going to make it. That can really crush the spirit of a lot of men and women.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Think about it. Just, a lot of athletes out here, they don't make it sometimes not because they're not good enough. There's just a lot of things that play into it. You know what I mean? So, and I've seen some broken players, the carnage of what that causes. So that was my mission, to get those guys and not to just say, hey, you can make it and you can be a professional, but I just don't feel like anyone should have the right. If you're passionate and you love something, I don't think anyone should have the right to do it.
So tell me a little bit more specifically what CBL Exposure League does.
So, I mean, we're a recreational basketball league, but, people look at us and by what we do, the platform that we have, we push out content for life skills development, as well as we have a cash prize format that they can play for and try to win, money and prizes and all that good stuff that we have with our sponsors. So it's, that's the type of thing that we're doing, and we're just, really trying to impact the community in a positive way and give, players another outlet. And
this is a national.
We are national. We are national. So we have over 20,000 players that onboarded and opted into our platform. And it's growing every day because, one of our key things of marketing, we don't have $1 million marketing budget. When you're in that startup phase and all that good stuff, we work off of word of mouth, and players know that this is a team sport, so they can't play a game against, one-on-one, type of thing for it when it's a team type of situation. So they go out and they recruit other players, and it's just spreading like wildfire.
And now, Tim, to you, tell me a little bit more about Crowd Mics and how this came about for you guys.
2.5 years ago, my little brother is my co-founder, Sean. He's 7 years younger. We're sitting in a meeting, and we just couldn't hear the interaction from the audience. And he leans over, he's like, Tim, why can't we use our phone as the mic? And we thought it was a brilliant idea, but it's got to be done. So, we go search for the app, trying to find it, and we just couldn't find that capability to use your phone to interact. And, looking back now, that should have been like a major red flag. There's probably a reason why nobody's pulled this off, but we're just like, let's do this thing. So we jump in and start building this app, and we later found out that technologically it turns out to be a lot harder than we thought.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're powering audience interaction. You got 200 people at a conference. You have 300 employees at an all-hands meeting. You've got a 150 student lecture hall. There's just the ability to actually hear each other and be a part of the conversation is just lacking. It's just not there.
So if I have your app, I can pick up my phone and it amplifies just like a microphone.
You're literally talking to your phone. What we've done, Carrie, is we've built the mic of the future, we think, right? We've built the microphone of the future. In the future, you will use your phone as a mic. We're not going to be running mics around the room. You're literally talking to your phone.
As a television person, you don't have no idea how happy that makes me, because running those mics is a big pain. You said something interesting, and I'm sure, Jamar, this was somewhat your experience as well, but it's a little scary when you identify that there's a hole out there that you want to fill. Mm-hmm. But then there's all those what ifs. What if there is someone else who's working on this, and how do I overcome this? How do I build this structure and technology? How do we figure this out? Right. Tell me about pushing through the fear and anxiety that goes with being a startup.
One bit of advice we had early on was, don't look back. Meaning, there's going to be other competitors, other people doing things. And it's not a race necessarily. And I think some businesses there is kind of a true race against other competitors. In our case, it's just move forward and build what you think the world needs, and let clients and let other people give you feedback. However, even that, that being the case, there is this element of what if it's not adopted? What if people don't like it? What if we run out of money? Which is often an issue, and so I think there's definitely, I'm sure for Jamar as well, there's like this level of risk tolerance that is probably unhealthy, right? It's probably way past what normal human beings would do, and yet you have to use that vision, like, I'm going to make this happen no matter what. And that's kind of what pushes you through when things get ugly.
Did you feel like a fish out of water, being that you're a tech guy developing this technology in Phoenix, Arizona?
Yeah, to some degree, right? I mean, the pull for a tech guy like me is always to Silicon Valley. That's just like the thing. And there's no doubt, we spend a lot of time there, and we have some investors there and board members. There's no doubt there is some magic happening there. And we've tried to analyze why is that. However, Phoenix has this untapped potential, I feel. Mm-hmm. And that's what this Rise of the Rest is all about.
That's why Steve Case chose Phoenix as one of these stops.
Yeah. I feel like there are a lot of investors, mentors, business people on the sidelines that are, hanging out in kind of nice circumstances, waiting for the next, as what Steve said this morning, waiting for the next real estate deal, right? And when we can get them to invest in guys like Jamar and Crowd Mics and other tech companies and other things, that's when we're going to unlock this magic in Phoenix.
Yeah. By the way, all of the companies and startups are amazing, doing amazing things. I wish I could. I just put this show together in short order because I realized Rise of the Rest was coming here, and I became obsessed with it. So I called my producer, Shan. I said, we're upending everything on Friday to do this show. Jamar, when you got the call that you were one of the finalists, and Steve Case, the co-founder of AOL, was coming here to pay attention to you, what is that like?
Let me tell you something. I've been applying to accelerators, different various pitch competitions all over the country. And when I got that email, I literally, for a second, thought that someone was pranking me.
Right. Is it spam? What's going on?
I've applied literally. I think I've applied over, at least 200 accelerators and pitch competitions and all that. So, and I've never gotten the call back. So when I saw that email, I just took it in, and then I looked over to my wife. I said, "Look, read this. Tell me what it is." And she was like, "OMG." And I said, okay, it's real then. So if you saw it, I saw it, okay, I'm going to respond back. Let's see what happens now.
Your beautiful wife and daughter are here, and they're watching us do the show right now. How much did their support and love help you along the way? Because I'd imagine, if your wife's like, I don't know, that's, they've been with me since the very start of this, you know what I mean? And, you have to have that, as an entrepreneur and stuff. If you don't have that, family support, because that's where you're going to get it from initially, you know what I mean? And that's going to get you out the gate, and it's going to keep you running and stuff. And then when you have those bad days, those bad moments, those customers or clients calling you saying, hey, they're upset or whatever, it's always going to be your closest network, which is most likely your family and your friends, is going to support you, and it's going to pick you up, dust you off, and say, we're going to get through this, get back up, get back out there. And they're going to lend their support in some kind of way. So they've been very instrumental. My daughter, she's helped me with games. Yeah. Organizing. Well, how's your daughter? She's
a college student now.
But they're not afraid. No, that's my point. Is they're just going to go for it and make dreams come true, right?
So they're built for this now. You know what I mean? So they've been a part of it. My wife, she's great because she's women have this way, especially when it comes to these men's sports. Yeah. Women have this way of putting that special touch on it to make it feel like over the top for these players. Right. And you just give you a short story on that. We had a tournament a couple months back, and me, I'm coming, I got, I printed off the registration papers. I know all the players are supposed to be there and all that good stuff. Well, she comes with bags and, T-shirts and all this kind of extra stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and then, I'm looking at the reaction from the players, and they're going up, and I'm like, this is why you need that support.
I love it.
You know what I mean? So they're part of our success, and, I'm grateful to, have them with me.
Tim, talk to me about when you got the email.
Yeah, I mean, we are doing all we can to be a part of this community. We really want to. We're born and raised Arizona, ASU grads, and when we got the email, I've just recently had read Steve Case's book, The Third Wave, and same with Jamar. This isn't real.
Did the email come from Steve Case himself? No, from the office of Steve Case.
No, not necessarily. But that would have been cooler. But just super excited to be a part of it, no doubt.
And we just have a couple minutes left with you guys. I know you got to get out the door, but I'm just curious how you've handled when you're a startup and you're an entrepreneur and you're implementing ideas that are new ideas. A lot of people will give you that look like, what are you doing? What is that? Yeah. And so what do you say to people who are watching and listening who might have an idea that other people question, don't necessarily support? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, this morning, Steve, at this breakfast meeting, Steve said, AOL was founded in 1985. He's like, there was nobody online. It was the dumbest idea in the world. He's like, everybody thought that he was an idiot for even trying it. And of course, it took 10 years, but then it became the way to connect to the internet. And I think that if you truly believe in your heart of hearts that this is the thing and I have to make this live in the world, you just have to do it. You've got to go for it.
And final word from you, Jamar?
I would just say, you got to get out and you got to talk to people, help them vet out your product or service or whatever it is you're trying to do. And then, let your passion take over. Your passion will get you through. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you guys. So you have your pitch competition tonight. My photographer is going to be there, by the way, and we're going to drop a story on Inspired Media 360 next week. Congratulations and best of luck to you guys and to all of the competitors, because it's just awesome seeing your dreams come to life. And now, guys, we want to show you a little bit more of what Rise of the Rest is all about. Take a listen to Steve Case himself.
There are a lot of great regions around the country and a lot of great entrepreneurs around the country that aren't getting the same level of attention. So that's really the idea of the Rise of the Rest, is recognizing that the regions all around the country also need to be celebrated and supported, and resources need to be directed to them. And if we can rebuild the momentum in Detroit or Pittsburgh or Cincinnati or Nashville, when that momentum is building, good things happen. If we could take those cities to the next level, we can really shine a spotlight on the power of what's happening in this Rise of the Rest. We've said that we'll invest 90% of our capital outside of Silicon Valley, because we want to encourage and help accelerate the Rise of the Rest phenomenon.
Now I want to welcome the Mayor of Phoenix, Greg Stanton. Mayor, thank you so much for being here.
It's an honor to be here. How fun.
So you spent the morning with Steve Case. What was that like?
I spent the morning with him on a bus as we cruised around
cool is that?
the city. It's really cool. Obviously, Steve Case represents Startup America. I mean, if one guy really represents coming up with a new concept that just changed the world, what he did with AOL, which took this new thing, the internet, to a whole new level, made it so much user-friendly to people. So he's a really inspiring guy. And what I love about him, he's a billionaire. So he's a very wealthy man, but you know what he's doing? He's not on the golf course. He's not hanging out by the pool. He's out around the country working with other entrepreneurs to create the next generation of Steve Cases, if you will. And he's here in Phoenix as part of the Rise of the Rest tour. He's a really inspirational, thoughtful guy. He was with myself and Dr. Crow and some other leaders. I mean, you talk about two thought leaders getting together. It was really awesome to be there and see it. But Steve Case is a really admirable guy, what he's done personally with his life and now what he's doing to help others. It's really cool.
And he talked in the clip that we just played about this momentum and how he wanted to shine the light on cities and startups outside of Silicon Valley or outside of some of the well-known places where startup talent comes to life. And when you found out that Phoenix was one of those cities being picked for this round, well, I mean, as the mayor, did you do like a little happy dance or what happened? You had to be so excited.
Well, now don't tell Steve Case I said this, but I thought it's about time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a great startup community, innovation ecosystem going on here in Phoenix, and Steve's been doing this around the country and in 25 cities, and they finally got to the right city, Phoenix, Arizona. On a serious note, the point that Steve is trying to make on the Rise of the Rest tour is that there is talent all over this country, and it's not just in Silicon Valley or New York City or Boston, although those are great towns. We want them to succeed. But there are people and ideas and concepts and businesses that are worthy of venture capital investment around the United States. His point is that 3/4 of the venture capital investment goes to 3 communities, California, New York, and Massachusetts. But talent is all over, and the venture capital community better wake up and see that there is talent around this country if we want this country to succeed. Look, this is a new competitive international economy. We are in a battle for talent. We need to educate our young people, get them in a position where they can start new businesses, have the skill set and experience to start those new businesses, and we need to support those entrepreneurs. It's good for our city, but good for the United States of America and our economy in this changing economy. And Steve Case is a forward-thinking dude, and I really appreciate that he chose Phoenix as his final city on this tour.
I don't want to have a political discussion. This is all about inspiration today. But I do want to ask you, do you think Phoenix is turning the corner? Because for a long time, the conversation was, well, Phoenix has all of these controversies and startups may be looking, but they shy away because they don't want to deal with all of that. Do you think Phoenix is now turning the corner and ready to kick it up a notch?
Yes, and with that, it's not really getting political. It's about economics and business. If you pass these laws that are divisive and send a message about building walls or dividing people, investment hates that. Technology hates that stuff. It's the reason why North Carolina is in so much trouble, where businesses are pulling out of North Carolina, and sports championships, the NBA All-Star Game, and college football and basketball championships are leaving there because they don't want to follow divisive politics. They want to be in communities that are open to everyone. And another point that Steve Case is making is that not only is 75% of the venture capital in those only 3 communities, but 90% of the venture capital goes to men. We need to diversify our startup community. Venture capital needs to find talented women and Latinos and African American and Asians to make sure that in this great democracy, this incredible diversity that we're blessed to have here, that the full talent pool is coming to the leadership table, if you will. And cities that embrace that are the ones that are going to do well. So that's not politics, that's economics. And those cities that succeed in passing open laws that support everyone are going to be the ones that do well. Phoenix has done that. Phoenix has kind of stemmed the tide of sometimes what the legislature and previous governors have done, and we try to send a very different message about the kind of city we are, and it's to our economic benefit that we've done that.
What is your reaction when you see these guys, men and women who are part of the startups who are being recognized, these 8 startups, and you've gotten to know them and know what they're doing? And tell me a little bit about how you feel.
Well, look, there's a thing going on in Phoenix, Arizona. We call it Yes Phoenix. # Yes Phoenix.
I love it, by the way.
Yes, PHX. I got to make sure I get that right. Yes, PHX.
Don't mess up the hashtag.
But it's not just a slogan. It's a family. It's really awesome to see these entrepreneurs support each other. There's not a competitive spirit. There's a spirit of we are all in this together. Together, we're going to raise Phoenix up to a whole new level. And these entrepreneurs that were selected for the finalists of the Rise of the Rest, and we're going to soon pick someone that's going to get a significant investment in their company in a great pitch competition. They're not fighting with each other. They're rooting for each other, and it inspires me. As mayor, I want to say, what more can I do? I don't want to be a cheerleader on the sidelines for these companies. As mayor, I want to make sure that we have a great environment for these companies to grow, like support our warehouse district, which is an awesome kind of cool, gritty place that a lot of the tech companies and startups like to go to. What am I doing to bring more capital to the table? I don't want to just go to venture capital firms out of Silicon Valley. We got a lot of wealthy people here that may not be connected to the local VC community. They may be used to investing only in real estate. Well, we got to tell them there's a lot of talent here beyond real estate in these startup companies, these wonderful entrepreneurs. And what am I doing to bring local companies to the table? Not startup companies, established companies, and say you too need to support this entrepreneurial ecosystem that we are creating here in Phoenix. We have to be all in. It's not someone else's responsibility. If we really want to succeed in this new competitive economy, all of us have to do our part.
What do you think Steve Case represents? I mean, as you pointed out, I mean, he's a billionaire. He's super successful. He certainly does not have to jump on a bus and cruise around Phoenix, Arizona. What does he represent that you think is important to point out?
Well, he's a thoughtful guy, and we better listen to his message. Not just he's not the only one sending his message, but because of who he is, what he represents, the early days of entrepreneurial success, particularly on the internet. So he does have a strong platform upon which to make this position. But if our democracy is going to succeed in the United States of America, we have to democratize. I hope that's a good word.
Yeah,
democratize our investments. Democratize them across the country in areas like Phoenix that traditionally haven't been strong on venture capital. We need to democratize investment when it comes to the diversity that we're blessed to have. Our diversity is our greatest strength, and we need to make sure that diversity is represented not just in politics but in business and the startup community. We need to make sure that women business leaders are at the table and receiving their fair share of venture capital, because we have incredibly talented female entrepreneurs that aren't getting the support that they need to succeed. So we need to democratize investment just like we democratize other aspects of our life in America if our country is going to succeed. I love that message. It's really inspiring to me. And for a guy that could be flying on a private jet instead is driving on a bus across the country to go to these various cities, that's pretty cool.
And he's not trying to make it about him. He is the conduit to shine the light on all of these great thinkers who he's meeting along the way.
He's a pretty humble guy. He doesn't talk about his own personal success, only to say that, hey, if I did it, you can do it too. His point was that at one point, AOL, which we all signed on to and had our email accounts on at one point. He said at one point, that was a crazy idea.
Yeah.
Just like Google was a crazy idea at one point, and Uber and Lyft were a crazy idea. Crazy ideas with hardworking entrepreneurs with the right support system turns into large companies that support thousands and thousands of high-paying jobs. So he's a humble guy, but he deserves a lot of recognition, and I'm really proud that our Yes Phoenix community is blowing his socks off right now as we speak and showing the talent that we have here, and he's here to support it, and that's a really great thing for our city.
We just have 1 minute left. Give the viewers and listeners a little sense of how the pitch is going to go down tonight.
Well, first off, it's at one of the coolest locations in the United States of America, the Deuce. If you haven't been to the Deuce in the warehouse district, it's a restaurant, it's a shop with cool clothes, it's got ping pong and foosball, lots of fun stuff, and a boxing ring. Because Steve Rosenstein, I love that guy, the owner, he's a fitness freak. So the actual pitch competition is going to be in a boxing ring,
super cool,
which is going to be a lot of fun. But these companies have 4 minutes to give a pitch and take 4 minutes of questions. 8 of our most talented entrepreneurs are going to be in there making the best case that they can, how their disruptive idea or technology is going to change the world, and the winner is going to get $100,000 walking out of that door today. 900 people are going to be in the audience. It probably violates our fire code, so don't tell Chief Cockbrenner I told him that 900 people are going to be over at the Deuce. But people are excited. Not just excited for these companies, but excited about the vibe that's going on here in Phoenix. We have a very, very bright future.
You know, as someone who, I guess I've been called a disruptor. In fact, my old boss, one of my old bosses, I won't say who, said to me once, you like to go rogue. And I thought, I don't know, I don't think he means it precisely as a compliment, but I take it as such because really that's kind of what the entrepreneurial spirit is all about. It's kind of bouncing from the usual and doing something that your heart is pulling you to do.
Well, you're an example.
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur.
I've gone rogue.
You know, you left the safety and comfort of local news, and you were very talented at it. And now
you.
you've formed your own company and doing exciting new projects that are going to advance media and help tell stories about what's going on, not only in the community, around the country. That's a really cool thing. So you've got the entrepreneurial spirit, too. So we're supporting you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I appreciate you taking time because I know you have a really busy day, but I wanted to have you as part of this show. Really appreciate it. And thanks for listening and watching, everyone. You can always see the show on my Facebook page at Carrie Pena, or of course on our site, inspiredmedia360.com. And be sure to subscribe and get in touch with us. We always love to hear your feedback. Today's show produced and engineered by Shannon Hernandez, brought to you by Inspired Media 360. Until next time, stay inspired.